What's up guys, Zach Sharp here with another analytics tutorial. Today I'm going to be going over how to build out an ROI estimator for Amazon sellers, or really anyone who sells online. Now the purpose of this ROI estimator is to take into account one, what you're going to pay for the product, and two, what you're planning to list it at, and it uses your historical sales data to give you an estimate of what your ROI is going to be. This helps out Amazon sellers because it helps them to determine if they can pick up a product and add it to their inventory, and if it's going to be profitable for them to sell at a given price point. Now, before we jump into building out this estimator, I just want to remind you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also make sure that you follow me on Instagram so that you can get the latest updates on other tips, tricks, and tutorials that I'm putting out about Google Data Studio, Microsoft Excel, and Google Sheets. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into building out this estimator. Now, looking at the ROI estimator here, this is the final product, and I want to walk you through it and call your attention to a few things. The first being these three gray boxes we've got here. Now, these indicate places where the seller is actually going to input their own data. The first being what they paid for the product, what they're going to list the product at, and the desired return that they'd like to get on the product. Just below that, you've got your three costs for Amazon sellers. Now, I want to say that if you sell on any other platform online, you can update these accordingly as long as you've got the sales data and the costs that are taken out. I use Amazon because majority of the clients that come to me are from Amazon. However, happy to walk anyone through updating this and breaking out the costs for any other platforms that you may use. Feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me directly from the website if you'd like to work with me. But that being said, let's look at these costs. So first, we've got your shipping costs, you got your Amazon fee, and you got your taxes. Now, if you look in the formula bar, we can see that all of these are built off of a specific formula. And I'll just take taxes as an example here. What we're doing is dividing the sum of column G by the sum of column C, and then multiplying that by B19 being that list price. The purpose in that, if we click over here to sheet 1, what we can see is that in column G, we've got historical taxes that were paid, and in column C, we've got the historical sell price for this seller. And what we've done here by dividing the taxes by the sell price is gotten a percentage of the taxes. So we're looking at taxes, and what we can see is the percentage that taxes have been of your sale price historically. We've then taken that and multiplied that by your current sale price to get around what you will pay in taxes, to get an estimate of around what you will pay in taxes for this product if you list it at $190. That same logic is true for the Amazon fees as well as for the shipping. We then add those costs together and subtract them from your list price to give you your total profit, which is then used to calculate the current ROI and is compared to the desired ROI to give you your final result. Now, if I come down here and I want to play with the numbers a little bit, just to show you how this dashboard works, let's say that the cost of the product is around $125 now. I can now see that the result has changed. Let's say that we change this list price as well. So we've changed the cost of the product to $125, but let's say that we can list this at around, we'll say we can list this at around $250. So twice what we paid for it. I want a desired ROI of, I'll say 35%. And we're almost there, we're right there. The current ROI we're getting right now is 35.3. So we can see that the result is good. Again, we can see that the shipping costs, the Amazon fees, and the taxes have all updated when I change that list price. If I was to come here and let's say I'm getting greedy, but we could bump this up a little more. Let's say I can now list this at 300. Again, we see all of our costs have updated. We see the profit is updated. You see your current ROI is updated. But if I'm listing this at 300, what if I want my ROI to be a lot higher? So let's say 70%. We can now see that the result is telling me, hey, if you want your ROI to be a little bit higher than what it is right now, you're going to need to raise that list price. If I'm an Amazon seller and I determine, oh, $300 is a little high for me, I don't know that I'm going to get too many people buying it at that. I haven't seen that this product is sold at 300. Now I can look at this and determine, okay, maybe this product isn't what I should be selling. Maybe that price point isn't right for me. Maybe I can go back to the supplier and see if I can get this a little bit cheaper. Now, jumping into building out the ROI estimator, the one thing that you're going to need here is, again, that historical sales data from the seller. So what I've got for each of the products that they sold in the past is the cost of goods, so the cost that the seller paid for the product, the sell price, so what the product sold for, what the customer who bought this paid for shipping, what the seller had to pay for shipping, any fees that were charged by Amazon because that was the platform that the seller used, the taxes, and lastly, that got me to the final profit that the seller made. So now that I've got all of that, I can go ahead and start building out this estimator. I'm gonna add in a sheet, and I'll come over here, So what I've got is a cost of product, a list price, all of the fees, and then the total profit. So I'll come over here and add spaces for those. First being the cost of product. Down here, we're going to have the listing price. And then all of our costs. And then lastly, total profit. For the cost of product, as well as for the listing price, I'm going to go ahead and fill those in with gray. The purpose for the gray is to indicate to the Amazon seller, these are places where you need to input your own data. I'm also going to put a border around these two. I'm also going to do the same thing down here for total profit, but I'm going to make that yellow just to call the seller's attention to that. Make that a little bit thicker. Also going to add in the ROI pieces here, so desired, current, and then your result. For the result, I'm going to make that yellow as well. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to make the current ROI yellow. The desired, I'm going to fill that in as gray because that, again, is going to be a place where the seller needs to input. I want to make sure those grays match up. There we go. And so now we've got this ROI estimator formatted correctly. The next thing is going to be to add in all of the formulas. If we click over here to the estimator, what we can see again is that all three of these costs are estimates, and what they're doing, if we look in the formula box up here, is estimating the cost for each, and we're getting that as a percentage of the list price. So again, looking at this formula, we're dividing all of the values in column E by all of the values in column C over here in sheet 1. If I click over to that, we can see column E is going to be what the seller paid for shipping, and we're dividing that by the final sell price, which is going to give us each of these percentages. If we look at the formulas in this box, in these boxes here, they're identical formulas to what we have here. The only difference is that up here we are now multiplying by the list price, because we've got that percentage and we want these costs to be shown as a percentage. We want these costs to be shown as a percentage of the overall list price. So what we do once we've got those percentages is then multiply them by that list price. And so we will come over here and do the exact same in our estimator. And to do so, I will come into this cell, type equal sum, and this is going to be shipping. So I will come over here to sheet 1, seller shipping, close that and divide it by the sum of the sell price, close that, and I will wrap this formula right now in parentheses for order of operations purposes. As we can see up here, it is currently giving me a negative 0.065, so that's right around negative 6%. We will then multiply that by the list price to multiply the percentage to get the shipping as a percentage, of your list price. And the last thing that we will need to do is multiply this by -1 to get it to show. And we will come here and make this a dollar value. And I would do the same thing for the Amazon fees and for the taxes as well. So again, coming here, sum, sheet 1, Amazon fees, and we will divide that by the sum of the sell price to get that as a percentage of the sell price. Again, wrapping all of this in parentheses for order of operations purposes, multiplying this by the list price to multiply that to get the Amazon fees as a percentage of the list price, and then finally multiplying that by -1 And lastly, coming to do this again for taxes. So sum of the taxes divided by the sum of the sell price, wrapping that in parentheses, and multiplying it by the list price, and multiplying that by -1, making both of these currencies, coming down here to total profit, and saying that's going to be equal to your list price minus the sum of all three costs. Now we will come over here to your current ROI, and what we will say is equals, parentheses, your profit divided by what you paid for it, -1, and we will make that a decimal percentage, and then we will come down here to results, and this is going to be an if statement. So if the current ROI is greater than or equal to what is desired, we want this box to return a "you're good," telling the seller that this product is at the current listing price profitable for you. You are getting the desired return that you want, or greater return. And if you are not getting that, so if that ROI, the current ROI is less than what's desired, what we're going to return is that you need to raise the listing price. And if you cannot raise the listing price, the seller will then have to make a decision of whether or not the product is worth picking up in their inventory and if it's going to be profitable for them at that price point. So we'll close those parentheses. And the last thing to do is to come here and to conditionally format this cell so that we are showing green when we're good and red when we need to raise the listing price. So again, I'll select this cell, come up here to format, come to conditional formatting, move myself over just a little bit again. And if this cell E7 text is exactly good, then we want this to be green. We'll add another rule. When that text is exactly raise listing price, we want this to be red. And so now we've got our ROI estimator built out. Let's go ahead and play with this to see what happens. So let's say we bought something for $100. We plan on listing it for, we'll say $175. We can see all of our costs update as a percentage of that list price to give us our total profit. You can see we've got the current ROI calculation, and because we haven't specified a desired ROI, this is going to be read right now as 0, which is telling us we're good. If I want my ROI, let's say, to be 20% here, we can now see that our result is telling us we need to raise that listing price. A few more formatting tricks here. We'll make this a percentage. Excellent. But if we drop this down to 15%, we now see that we are good. We can change this listing price. So again, let's take this back up to 20%. If we want to play with this, we'll change this listing price. Let's say the seller feels like they can raise the listing price a little, maybe sell it for $200. Now your current ROI is much higher than your desired. And as we can see, the result is updated to tell us that. Now with that, We now have the ROI estimator. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was helpful to you. Thanks for checking out this tutorial. I hope you learned something. This was a custom build I did for one of my Amazon clients. If you would like to work with me and have me build out analytics tools for your business, make sure you check out my website, zacksharp.com, where you can reach out to me and set up a free consultation so we can go over your analytics needs. As always, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Instagram. Thank you again for checking out this video. I look forward to working with you all, and I'll see you in the next video.